Hey Jay, good to see you again, my friend.
Good to see you too, man. Good to see you. Good to see you.
What are you bringing for us this time?
We are bringing you guys just pure love for both franchises. Dude, it's just fun, man. We're just bringing you guys fun.
So how does this work? Batman and TMNT in one movie. How does it work?
It works. That's just it. It oddly works. When we were getting down to it and starting to break down scripts and get boards going, we just realized how much work did it need to be done to make it work to make both universes work together. But we were just able to add and plus from that.
And the TMNT give Batman a hard time, annoy him a lot.
You might just have to check out the movie to figure it out. But yes, I mean, if you think about it, Batman's not unfamiliar with running with minors or kids, or teenagers. This is going to be no different. All right. Well, pizza, he's definitely not into, but we'll see. We'll see.
Andrew, congratulations on Batman versus TMNT.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
Shredder is a very iconic actor. What can we expect about Shredder in this installment?
A lot of what he does best, which is rolling up his sleeves and getting physical.
Yeah, and this is not your first round playing Shredder, am I correct? Or
no, this is the first time playing Shredder, but I played another character in another iteration of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
So how is it like embodying or voicing this iconic actor for you as an actor?
Well, he's a handful. Yeah. He is a handful. He's got a very powerful individual. He's got a lot of rage. He's got a lot of greed and avarice. So embodying that can be very, very difficult because it is taking on a lot of traits they're not nice traits. So, the more you kind of lean into it, though, the more fun it gets.
Now, Batman is stoic, serious all the time. Right. TMNT is humorous, comedy. How does that mesh up, then? How does that blend?
I think it's the very thing that you articulated. The contrast between the two provides so much opportunity for comedy because the Turtles aren't used to somebody being so by the book, and Batman is not used to being around people who have so little regard for the rules. But it's their interactions where they both subtly learn things from each other. That's where the connection happens, but that's also where the humor happens.
Well, looking forward to screening the movie. Before I let you go, I want to ask, what other DC character that you haven't voiced that you've always on your bucket list, I want to voice that?
Wow, that's a great question. I always like the bad guys, so Troy can't hear me, so I'm going to say the Joker.
Yeah. What up? This is Rama Screen with one of my favorite people on earth, Eric Baza.
This is our 800th interview. Spectacular. There's going to be fireworks. We're going to have a cake. Yeah. So it's good to see you, man.
Always good to see you too, my friend.
Yeah.
So Leonardo, right? This
yes.
Is your first round as Leonardo, maybe?
This is actually not the first time I voiced Leonardo. I voiced Leo for Brandon Auman short called Turtles Take Time and Space, and but it is definitely a version of Leo. He's a lot more buff. You can tell he's been working out a lot.
So he's swole in this one.
He's definitely. I got the pizza eating part of a turtle, but I haven't quite hit the gym with Sensei Splinter. So
now I gotta ask. Batman is stoic and serious. TMNT, comedy, humorous, joking around. How does that mesh up, man?
It meshes up greatly, actually.
Really?
You kind of need Batman is the straight man, and then Leo is as straight as it gets when it comes to the Turtles' personalities.
That's true.
And then you got Raph. He's like the wisecracking one, a little rude, as they say. And then Donnie's the tech guy, as we come to know, and Mikey's the party dude, played by Kyle Mooney, who couldn't be here. But I mean, who better at comedy than Kyle, right?
Exactly.
And I just love that they brought it back to basics with Leo. He is definitely just gung ho, the leader. It's the Leo that we've that I hope I've portrayed as the Leo that we all know. So
yes, I'm a big fan of yours, big fan of The Expanse, of course.
Awesome.
Welcome to the world of Batman and TMNT.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're gonna have to escort you to a prison now because you've got the wrong shirt on, brother.
Yeah.
Look at what he brings to a DC Comics premiere, red carpet. Anyway.
Yeah, this is very insulting, definitely. So what's it like being part of this gang?
Great. I mean, this is a great group of people. One of the most fun parts about doing this whole project was in the studio dealing with Jake, the director, and the producer, and the writer, because they're all comic book fans. They're all deeply entrenched in the mythology of Turtles and DC and Batman. They know everything. They know more than me, and I'm a huge comic book fan.
And so, what version of Ra's al Ghul will we see here from you?
Well, I didn't really know about the various different versions. I only knew one version, and that's what I did. I'm a huge fan of Ra's al Ghul, who is hundreds of years old and has been using the Prometheus pit to kind of rejuvenate himself. Keeping young, because I find that fascinating. That like a vampire, he's just been around for centuries and centuries, watching all of human history pass in front of him, all these great leaders and tyrants and the conquests and the failures of all of humanity, and learning from it, like acquiring knowledge. He's a sophisticated, intelligent, educated man that has centuries of experience. That's a very dangerous man, and he knows how to function in this world, and he has accumulated wealth and power, much like Bruce Wayne has, but with a very different agenda.
Without spoiling details, Batman is serious and stoic. Turtles, comedy, humorous. How does that mess up?
That's a good question. It's a very unusual mashup. What I think you're going to see in this movie, because this is really an homage to all the fans of DC and the Turtles, you're going to see a blending of humor and darkness. It's going to be very dark humor. Even Ra's al Ghul, who's very, very serious, he has to deal with these characters from this other world. And Raz doesn't really suffer fools. He doesn't like incompetent people. He doesn't have a great sense of humor. So when he's forced to deal with Shredder and some of the other characters in this world, especially the Turtles, it really irritates him, and he loses his patience. So you're going to have some fun moments with him dealing with all the shenanigans that goes on in the other worl.
Last question. Expanse Season 4, when is it?
Expanse Season 4 comes out at the end of the year, so sometime after San Diego, you'll be getting some news.
So I'll see you in San Diego. Ben, congratulations on this new project, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Batman versus TMNT. Big fan of both characters. So you play Robin in this one?
Yes, yes. I actually play the Damian Wayne version of Robin. So I'm Batman's 10-year-old sort of vigilante, prepubescent son.
And so what can we expect about this Damian in this installment?
I think one of the things that we focused on in this film is the humorous side of Robin. So he's certainly, kicks a bunch of butt in the movie. He's trying to prove himself. He gets his own butt kicked at certain points of the movie. But I think we really played up the jokes and just played up the sort of snarky style of the character.
So Damian has a funny side?
He has a funny side. Yeah, I mean, look, ultimately, you take all of these storied characters and you smash them into one incredible crossover. And then you got to play up a little bit of the comedy aspect of it. Certainly the Turtles are very funny. So I think Robin's sort of Batman's kind of comedic relief in this movie.
That's what I was going to ask. Because Batman's very stoic and serious. TMNT is very comedic and humorous. How does that mesh up?
I think my character is the one that kind of bridges that gap, ultimately. So I sort of blend that humorous Turtles world into the kind of more serious Batman world, because I think my character is a pretty even split between those two things.
Marley, congratulations on Batman versus TMNT.
Thank you so much.
So what's the inspiration behind mashing up these two iconic properties?
I think it's that Batman and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are actually really great for putting together, because they both exist in sort of similar worlds. New York and Gotham are not so terribly different. And so it's sort of perfect because they're characters with very different tones associated with them. You usually think of the Turtles as much sillier and Batman as much more serious. Yeah. But once you put them together, it makes a lot of sense, because it's really fun having four sort of slightly more goofy teenagers bouncing off Batman, who really does not like goofs.
Ben told me that Robin or Damian is the bridge to those two tones, comedy and...
Yeah, definitely. I think that is true, but I also think that Damian Wayne wouldn't like to hear that, because Damian Wayne is a sort of funny, a sort of comedic character, but he's comedic because he's so serious, even though he's like a 12-year-old boy. And so it's sort of perfect, because you have, the Ninja Turtles are sort of more lighthearted teenagers, and then Batman is a very serious adult, and Damian is a preteen trying to act like a serious adult, which creates the perfect mix between those two things, I would say.
Ben, congratulations on Batman versus TMNT.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I want to ask, why the combination of these two properties perfect for this ride is the right time for these two to combine?
Well, the success of the comic spurred the animated thing, so we have them to thank for coming up with the idea in the first place.
Yeah.
And once we got into it, they've turned out to be surprisingly compatible because, you know, as characters, Batman and the Turtles, they're both about, you know, martial arts and urban settings and wearing masks and doing cool stuff.
Now, does Batman eat pizza here?
I think that might be a spoiler,
That's a spoiler,
but
okay.
yeah, if you stick around through the movie, you'll find out. Yeah.
So that is my question, also, because Batman is serious, stoic, TMNT, the Turtles, comedic, humorous. How does that mesh up well? Like, what can we expect for that mesh up?
From the beginning, a lot of friction. While Batman figures out that the Turtles' goofiness doesn't mean that they're not really serious about being heroes.
Okay.
But as time goes on and he becomes aware that the goofiness is just because they're young and inexperienced, and he realizes that they are serious about being heroes, then yeah, they do come to a grudging respect.
Now I gotta ask you from bird's eye view question as a producer, when you're tackling the next DC project, what do you see? What are the criteria? It's like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna produce that one.
For me, it's just if they ask me to do it, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this one resonates with you? Like
It
pulls
did,
you?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think they picked me because they knew that I had sort of a foot in both franchises. I'd worked on Batman the Brave and the Bold. I worked on the 2012 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series. So yeah, I think they were looking for someone who had some sort of overlap between the Batman world and the Turtles world, and that turned out to be me.
Well, everybody, this is one of the funniest people on earth. Cracks me up every time,
Thanks,
Troy Baker.
man.
Yeah.
Shucks. And now I get to be super serious for this thing. The dark, most broody character ever.
Now, how do you play two characters, Batman and Joker, at the same time in one movie?
I don't know, man.
Wow, that's amazing.
What's funny is that I immediately started like, this is the worst idea that you could ever do. And it shows how much they believe in the franchise. Like look, good.
Yeah.
The concept is great, okay? We could even do this and it wouldn't mess it up. So they took a shot on me, and when we finally were doing ADR, I was like, oh, you didn't replace me. You didn't get like Kevin to come in or Roger to come in. Because the beauty is we've had some amazing people that have stepped into these characters. We've had Kevin Conroy's just, I mean, everyone's kind of like shooting towards that star because what he's done is incredible. Then you've had Diedrich Bader, you've had Bruce Greenwood, who did an incredible job. Roger Craig Smith has done an amazing job, and all the people that have played the Joker as well. The fact that they were willing to let me come in and do this again, it's just, it sounds like such a platitude, but it's such an honor, man. It really is, especially with this, because I used to rush home. I've told you this before. I used to rush home every day after school and watch Batman the Animated Series, and I remember when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles premiered on Sunday night, and I was like, what is this insanity that they're putting on? It was a cartoon at night. It was the craziest thing, and I remember seeing the graphic novel, the black and white original graphic novel, to bring these two things together, not only in a graphic novel, but now as an animated movie, is just, it's crazy.
Did you try to emulate Mark Hamill or any of the Joker iterations?
Mark, you know, Kevin to me is the best Batman and Bruce Wayne that's ever been, and Mark is when I first heard that voice, I was like, that's finally the voice that I've always heard in my head reading the graphic novels. So to me, it's impossible to not lean towards that. It's not like I'm going to try to do an imitation. It's just that representation is like, man, that tone of his voice, the cadence to the way that he speaks, very laconic, stoic character that Batman is. And then the crazy, chaotic, always you hear the crazy, it just in the pure tone of voice for Joker, the thing I love about what Mark did with Joker is you wanted him to be your friend, without it being too campy or too over the top. So that's kind of always been my approach. So for me, it was just trust, like it's going to be good. The animation is going to be top notch. The rest of your cast is going to be top notch. The writing is amazing because you're reading it. So I don't have to do anything to make it better. Just come in, do the work, and trust, and leave it up to the rest.
Well, the man of 1,000 voices, everybody. Always a pleasure.
You too,
Thank
man.
you so much, sir.